Welcome to today's World News Update for May 22, 2023. Here are the most important stories from around the globe. Russian deputy dies on return flight from Cuba. Tens of thousands of Moldovans rally in favor of EU membership. BBC documentary on Narendra Modi to be screened at Australian Parliament House. Satellite image shows WZ-8 supersonic drone at Chinese base. Greece says it doesn't ditch migrants at sea. Climate activists blacken Trevi Fountain over Italy floods. Scientists urge crackdown on methane emissions with only 13% regulated. Facebook to be fined £648 million for mishandling user information. Turkmenistan orders young men to shave their beards. Stay informed and stay safe, and join us tomorrow for more world news updates. Russian deputy dies on return flight from Cuba. Peter Kucherenko, Russia's deputy minister for science and higher education, passed away on May 20 during a return flight from Cuba. He fell seriously ill during the nearly 12-hour flight and the pilot made an emergency landing in southern Russia for medical assistance. Unfortunately, doctors were unable to save his life, and the cause of his death is unknown at this time. Kucherenko was traveling with Deputy Prime Minister Dmitry Chernyshenko and Andrei Guskov, the deputy head of the Russian Foreign Ministry's Department for Latin America. Tens of thousands of Moldovans rally in favor of EU membership. Tens of thousands of Moldovans gathered in Chisinau on May 21 to advocate for European Union, EU, membership for their country. Moldova, a former Soviet republic, applied to join the EU last year and became a candidate country in June 2022. The ongoing conflict in neighboring Ukraine has expedited Moldova's bid. Over 75,000 people participated in the demonstration, waving EU flags and chanting pro-European slogans. President Maya Sandu, who called for the rally, expressed Moldova's desire to join the EU by 2030, emphasizing the potential for peace and prosperity. The government organized information campaigns and increased public transport availability to facilitate attendance at the rally. Achieving EU membership typically involves fulfilling numerous criteria and may take a decade or longer. BBC documentary on Narendra Modi to be screened at Australian Parliament House. During Prime Minister Narendra Modi's upcoming visit to Australia, a screening of the BBC documentary India, The Modi Question will be held in Canberra, organized by diaspora groups and Amnesty International. The documentary examines Modi's actions during the 2002 Gujarat riots and his tenure as the Chief Minister of Gujarat. The screening will be followed by discussions on the riots and India under Modi's leadership. Australian senators and diaspora organizations will participate, expressing concerns about human rights abuses and the erosion of democratic principles in India. Prime Minister Modi will only visit Sydney and is expected to have left the country by the time of the screening. Satellite image shows WZ-8 supersonic drone at Chinese base. China's Luan Air Base in Anhui Province is undergoing an upgrade to accommodate a new supersonic reconnaissance drone, as revealed by a satellite image obtained by Defense News. The improvements at the base include the resurfacing of the runway, widening of taxiways, construction of aircraft shelters and hangars, and the addition of munitions checkout facilities. The base houses the 29th Air Regiment of the PLA Air Force's 10th Bomber Division, which currently operates Xi'an H-6K and H-6M bombers that carry the WZ-8 drone. The leaked document suggests that the WZ-8 could perform reconnaissance missions over South Korea and Taiwan at high altitudes and speeds. Greece says it doesn't ditch migrants at sea. The New York Times conducted an investigation into the mistreatment of asylum seekers by the Greek authorities. The investigation was based on video footage captured by an activist that showed masked men rounding up asylum seekers, stripping them of their belongings, and forcing them onto an inflatable raft in the Aegean Sea. The footage was corroborated by interviews with 11 asylum seekers from Somalia, Eritrea, and Ethiopia who were located at a detention center in Turkey. The Greek government, which has denied mistreating asylum seekers, did not respond to requests for comment. The video evidence suggests that Greece has violated international laws and EU rules governing the treatment of asylum seekers. The European Commission expressed concern over the footage and called on Greece to respect asylum rules and international law. Greece and other European countries have been cracking down on migrants, but the video evidence suggests that Greek authorities have engaged in surreptitious extrajudicial expulsions. The ordeal has had a lasting impact on the lives of the asylum seekers involved, many of whom had already fled war and dictatorship in their home countries. The fate of the group remains unclear, with some still in detention and others released. The Turkish authorities, who rescue the migrants at sea, provide only limited rights and often reject their applications for international protection. Climate activists blacken Trevi Fountain over Italy floods. Climate activists in Italy poured charcoal diluted with water into Rome's iconic Trevi Fountain as a demonstration against public subsidies for fossil fuels and to raise awareness about the climate crisis. The activists from the Ultima Generazione group claimed that the recent flash floods in Italy were a consequence of the climate crisis. Italian police intervened and removed the activists from the scene. The group shared photos on Twitter showing the blackened waters of the fountain and protesters holding banners against fossil fuels. Italy's Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, visited the flood-hit areas and described the flooding as a tragedy. Rome's mayor, Roberto Gualtieri, criticized the protest, noting that a significant amount of water would be wasted to clean the fountain. Climate activists have been organizing peaceful yet disruptive protests across Europe, targeting cultural sites and artworks to draw attention to climate change. Scientists urge crackdown on methane emissions with only 13% regulated. A recent study from Queen Mary University of London reveals that only 13% of global methane emissions are regulated, despite methane being responsible for 25% of current global warming. The research emphasizes the lack of understanding and effectiveness of existing policies, with estimations being used instead of actual measurements. Urgent action is needed to address this issue and meet global climate targets. The study suggests a consistent approach worldwide with robust quantification and reporting of methane emissions. Reductions of at least 40%, 45% by 2030 compared to 2020 levels are necessary. The agriculture, energy, and waste sectors contribute the most to methane emissions, and only a small portion of emissions is covered by policies. Accurate measurement methods and the use of technologies like satellites are crucial. Implementing policies with broader coverage, measurable objectives, and mitigation solutions can significantly reduce methane emissions. Strong social support, political will, and tighter regulations are necessary to combat methane emissions effectively and mitigate global warming. Facebook to be fined £648 million for mishandling user information. Facebook is facing a record-breaking fine of over €746 million and a suspension of data transfers to the US from an Irish regulator. The fine, expected to be confirmed soon, is the largest under the EU's General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR, and surpasses the previous record set by Amazon. The Irish Data Protection Commission, responsible for regulating Facebook and its owner Meta in the EU, is also likely to halt data transfers from Facebook's European users to the US. The ruling stems from a legal challenge by privacy campaigner Max Schrems, expressing concerns about the inadequate protection of European users' data from US intelligence agencies. Meta, the parent company of Facebook, is expected to appeal the decision and will likely be given a grace period to comply. The ruling, if implemented, could have significant implications for Meta's operations in Europe. The company has already been fined nearly €1 billion by the Irish data watchdog since September 2021 and faces challenges in maintaining its business model reliant on user data. Despite the financial penalties, critics argue that more substantial changes are needed to ensure fundamental shifts in Facebook's approach to user privacy. Turkmenistan orders young men to shave their beards. Authorities in Turkmenistan have initiated a nationwide crackdown on men's facial hair, forcibly shaving beards and preventing bearded men from boarding planes or trains, according to witnesses. The actions are reportedly motivated by the perception that a bushy beard is associated with religious extremism or unconventional Islamic traditions in the predominantly Muslim country. Individuals have been targeted on the streets, with demands to shave their beards or be taken to a police station. Police have also requested that men sign pledges not to grow beards in the future. The government has not provided any official explanation for the crackdown. Turkmenistan previously implemented restrictions on women, including banning certain clothing, hair coloring, and cosmetic surgeries. The recent actions against facial hair follow a similar pattern of government control over personal appearance.